Hello and welcome. I'm Emsley4, and in today's video I'll be showing you how I painted this landscape value study using oil paints. On the screen I've provided a basic list of materials. Usually I do my value sketches as I go about taking my reference photos, but today we're going to be doing our sketch from a photo I've prepared for this example. Now, shooting your own reference allows you to get high quality images of exactly what you want to paint, and it helps to have been able to see and study your subject for yourself. If you find that you're having a hard time seeing the value separation, it does help to squint your eyes. This blurs out the details and lets you focus on the basic shapes. Remember, you're trying to tell a story, so focus in on what caught your eye in the first place. Now that I've got my value study finished, it's time to prep my canvas. I purchased my canvas at a local art store, and it's already pre-gessoed. However, I think there's just too much texture still on it, so what I've done is I've put gesso on top again and then scraped it off using a palette knife. What this did is it filled in all those little holes in the texture, making my canvas nice and smooth. For this value study, I'm using titanium white for my lighter values and a mixture of phthalo blue and ivory black for my darker values. I've pre-mixed my values. This helps me use a full range throughout my entire painting. As I begin to block in my values, it's important that I reference back not only to my value sketch, but the original picture as well. There are a few useful rules to remember when doing landscapes. So refer back to these rules when you're starting out, and they really will help strengthen your paintings. Think of your landscape as having 4 basic values. The sky is always going to be the brightest or lightest value, with the ground being the second brightest. Your third value would be things such as mountains, and that leaves the darkest value being any vertical objects such as trees. So with these rules in mind, paint out your studies with very basic shapes. Try to limit your values, maybe start with 2 and then let yourself use more as you get better at defining your compositions. In this value painting, I have 5, maybe 6 values. From darkest to lightest, I have trees in the background, mountain, ground, and sky. Because this is just a value study, I'm thinning out my paints using mineral spirits. However, you can also use things like linseed oil to thin out your paints. Once I've completed blocking in my basic values, it's time to go back in and define my shapes. You can't just have a shadow and a light side, you have to remember that things have a 3-dimensional shape. Keep this in mind as you move around your painting. At this point, I'm still blocking in some basic shapes, so try to remember this and don't let yourself get distracted and do too many details in one space too quickly. A great way to prevent this from happening is by taking breaks, stepping back and looking at your overall painting. At this point, don't be afraid to make mistakes. You're still at the early stage of this painting, so you can always paint over and no loss. Some things to notice as I'm going along are the fact that as things recede into the distance, they are becoming lighter. Because of this, I've painted the ground at the bottom of the painting a little bit darker and lightened it as it receded into the back. Similarly, but in reverse fashion, I paint the sky darker at the top and lighter as it gets closer to the horizon. Pay close attention to your clouds and see if they have a nice dark underbelly, or maybe it's just something subtle. Once you feel that your values are pretty well blocked in, it's time to move on. Now it's time to start adding in what is commonly referred to as sky holes. These are places within your basic shapes that you can actually see through to the sky. Simplicity is key here, so don't get carried away. A useful technique for painting in sky holes is to paint in not quite as light as the sky, but to actually use a darker value and slowly build up the light value as you complete your details. As you come to the end of your painting, it is now time to put in all those finishing details. Thanks for watching my tutorial, and good luck with your own projects. Let me know what you thought in the comments.